Is Microsoft's move to put Game Pass on everything good for the community? I want to talk about that. I've been saying for a long time that we're going to see a shift from physical hardware to streaming hardware in the near future, and I even predicted that this current generation is the last generation of real top tier hardware. I'm starting to be kind of proved wrong in that respect, but Microsoft's recent ad campaign really starts to highlight where they're headed into the future with specifically gaming. Now, those of you who aren't familiar with the recent ad campaign, I'm going to show you a quick little clip of what they're talking about. That's right, you're watching this video on an Xbox, which is great news for gamers, right? I think we might be wrong, actually. So walk through me with this. I'm going to leverage some conversations I've had in previous videos, most specifically when Microsoft was trying to buy Activision, and they were making the promise that they would keep Call of Duty on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 6, PlayStation 7, PlayStation 15, as well as Nintendo products. Now, at the time, Nintendo took the deal. Nintendo said, yeah, we'll take 10 more years of Call of Duty because we don't even have Call of Duty on the Switch. The last time we saw Call of Duty on Nintendo hardware, it was a different version of Call of Duty. It did not play the same as the top tier gaming Call of Duty. And we need to keep that in mind as we get later into this video. So hopefully you haven't skipped past this part. If you have been skipping through and you didn't hear what I just said, please go back and listen, because we're going to leverage that information very shortly. But the question that I had at the time was, how on earth are they going to get Call of Duty running on the Nintendo Switch, or running on the Nintendo Switch 2 at the same level of performance as the Series S, the Series X, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro? And the answer is clear. And Microsoft did us a favor by releasing this commercial. With everything being an Xbox, suddenly you don't need the heavy lifting done on hardware at home. They have a server farm set up that will be running Call of Duty all day, all night, and all you need is a gateway to that server. So this cell phone can play Call of Duty. Yes, the latest version of Call of Duty that you are getting in lobbies against hardware players, against PC players, against console players. You are not on a mobile version, you are on the full version. And at first glance, that seems like a really great idea. In fact, we will see Xbox Game Pass on the Nintendo Switch, because Microsoft snuck in a small asterisk next to the "we'll give you Call of Duty for 10 years" statement. They did not say that this was going to be physically running on the Switch. They just said you'll be able to access it on the Switch. So when Microsoft goes to make good on that promise, it's going to look an awful lot like a bundle for installing Game Pass on your Switch. But all of a sudden, your Nintendo Switch is an Xbox. This is a win-win for the community, right? I don't think so. And to leverage where I'm going with this, I want to go back to the Nintendo Wii. Now, some of my viewers might not be old enough to remember the Nintendo Wii, but all you need to know is it was wildly successful.
The next generation video games battle became a 3-console race on Sunday as retailers across the US and Canada put Nintendo's Wii on sale. Hundreds lined up outside stores across North America to be among the first to own the console, which won't be available in Japan until December 2nd, Australia until December 7th, and Europe until December 8th.
It was the first time that Nintendo really, on purpose, stepped away from the console wars and said, we're running our own race. The Special Olympics, if you will. They said, you know, we've got a really good form factor here. We've got a good experience here, and we don't need to leverage high performance, high-end graphics to bring the experience that we're looking for to our customers. And they were wildly correct. With a final install base of 101.6 million consoles, it was in every household across North America and the rest of the world. And because they had so much access to so many people's homes, obviously the games were all top notch. They were the best they could be, because everybody knew if you released a Wii game, you would get massive, huge, growing sales. Or did they? It wasn't actually the case. You see, first-party games from Nintendo, developed by Nintendo, were the best. But that's a very small handful of games. When you have 101 million consoles, you open yourself up for what's called shovelware. What is shovelware? Shovelware is basically a crappy game that has very low shelf life, but has the potential to bring in a lot of money quickly with very little effort. And that makes the Wii a huge target for shovelware. In fact, if we go to a more recent generation, the Nintendo Switch currently sits at around 146 million units sold. Now, many of those are duplicates. You've got one at home, you've got your Switch Lite for the road and whatever. But you easily have access to 146 million Switch units. And the Switch has been no different than the Wii in that it has opened them up for a lot of shovelware. There are some great first-party titles for the Switch, but there's also a lot of really crappy third-party titles that suck, and they're just hoping that install base, they don't know what they're doing, they buy the game, they don't even care if they play the game as long as they give them some money. And this is what I think game streaming is going to be. Now, Microsoft has put all of their bets on game streaming. They are going hard with Game Pass. In fact, the next Xbox console is actually going to be a handheld game streaming console. It's not going to be the most powerful. In fact, it's not as powerful as the Xbox Series X. So, with that being the last Xbox console, what sorts of games can we expect on the Xbox? Really, all you got to do is look at the Switch and suddenly you know your answer. But it gets worse, because if they sell 50 million Xbox handheld consoles, not a big deal. They don't need to sell hardware, because with the Switch's 146 million consoles already in circulation, all they have to do, put Game Pass on all of them, and all of a sudden, developers are flocking to Game Pass because now they have 200 million units that they can access. And when you consider everybody has a cell phone, so suddenly everybody is a target for Game Pass, there's going to be a lot of people who install Game Pass on their cell phone. It's going to happen. When I bought this laptop, it came with a free 3-month membership for Game Pass. So I can run all those Game Pass games on my laptop. Keep in mind, you've got the Fire Stick, which can run Game Pass on your TV. Suddenly, we have a potential installed user base of over 300 million consoles available to Game Pass developers. Now keep in mind, for Game Pass to work, there will be installed titles on the system. And if you're using a cell phone or a low-powered SoC, you certainly can run a lot of this bloatware because it's not going to be high processor dependent. But when you're trying to stream a game from a server, a cloud server somewhere, to the end user, you're not going to go very high polygon count. You're not going to go very demanding with scene changes, and especially with like competitive games like Call of Duty. It's going to be a nightmare on game streaming. Those of you who don't believe me, grab your Sony Portal and try and play a competitive match of Call of Duty in your own house while streaming from your PlayStation 5 or your PlayStation 5 Pro. I promise you, the experience is not quite as good as you had hoped, and it leads to frustration and disappointment. It's playable, but because you're playing against guys on PC hardware and PlayStation 5 Pros who have the best monitor, the best controller, the best of everything, you're not competitive in that environment. Now, they could set up different lobbies for Game Pass lobbies and everybody else, which would help level the playing field, but the reality is that's a lot of work, and it's the work that first-party studios will put in. So Microsoft owning Activision now, they will put in the work, and they will actually put in extra work to make sure that Call of Duty works on Game Pass in a flawless experience. But no other developers have a keen interest in making sure that Game Pass works like that, so they'll dial the game back until Game Pass just works without any extra optimization. Now, why is this bad for gamers? It's bad for gamers for two reasons. Number one, it increases the chance of developers just focusing on shovelware, something that they can just shovel out to the masses and have millions of dollars come back in. When you have developers like Rockstar who take the time that it takes to develop a top-notch, high-quality game, they are hedging all their bets on that game doing really, really well. And Grand Theft Auto 5 proved them right. Red Dead Redemption proved them right. So they're willing to take that chance. They can live off of that revenue coming in over and over and over again across multiple systems to keep the studio alive. But many smaller studios, they don't have the bandwidth, they don't have the capital, and they certainly don't have the time to put in the work to put out high quality games. Instead, they're looking for the quick buck. So you're going to start seeing a huge increase in gimmicky games. You're going to see a huge increase in games that use licensed products to try to just increase product awareness at the cost of a gameplay experience. And this is the big worry that I have with Microsoft kind of stepping down from the premium console experience and looking for the streaming experience. Think of Netflix for games. Netflix had a period where they sucked. Then they had a period where they really sucked. They've finally emerged to the point where they're really finding their own space, to where they do have some Netflix good content, but there's still a lot of crap. And that's going to be the problem with Game Pass. There will be a lot of crap that you have to weed through to try and find the good stuff. But the good stuff won't come as fast, it won't come as often, and it won't be as good. Mark my words.
Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. We hope you enjoy the content in this video, and we'd love to have you come back. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And for those subscribers who are looking for that extra special thing that you can do to support this channel, consider joining our members group. That's where we're building this community, the Gears and Tech community, where we can all enjoy content together. You'll get special perks, which we'd love for you to check out by clicking the link down below. For those of you who are just happy to watch the video, that's okay too. You can check out some of our other content right over here, where we've got some previous videos that have already been uploaded and enjoyed by many of our viewers already. We do hope to see you again. This has been Gears and Tech. Have a great day.